Let's talk about nervous system literacy. It's very important that we know how to describe what's happening to us so that we can understand it better, and also so we can explain to other people, such as our family, friends, co-workers, anyone who can give you support during that time that you're having an emotional dysregulation. So when your brain perceives stress or danger, even from everyday tasks, it activates one of these four responses. One of the responses is fight. You lash out, you feel angry, you're defensive. Also, the second reaction is flight. You avoid things. You avoid by overscheduling yourself, or you get frantic, or you avoid by walking out of the room completely, or the house, or going to your car and just driving away. Walking out is a good mechanism for when you're having emotional dysregulation. For example, if your child is having their own challenges managing their emotion, sometimes that triggers our emotional dysregulation as parents. And it's okay to walk out of the room so that you can regulate yourself instead of fighting fire with fire. But what becomes problematic for me, for example, in my head, I don't want to just walk out of the room. I want to walk out of the house and walk out of the neighborhood and just go as far away as possible. Luckily, because of how I've managed my ADHD and with all the treatment that I have, I can put the brakes on so that I don't walk out of the house. But there are so many times when my emotional dysregulation, even my RSD, is so bad that I feel like I just want to walk away and flee. That's what flight is. Flee. You're fleeing the scene so that you don't have to experience that emotion, negative emotion that you're feeling. The third reaction you might have with anything that would trigger your emotional dysregulation is freeze. You feel numb and you start scrolling or shutting down. You start picking up your phone and scrolling to TikTok, to Instagram, YouTube, social media, or you start just binge watching your favorite Netflix show. I know freeze is also a response for me when I'm starting to feel emotionally dysregulated, or when I'm starting to feel depressed. I start freezing, and what I want to do is just sit on the couch and watch my favorite Netflix show and just binge watch. And that's how I know that I'm starting to freeze. Fourth is fawn. You people please or over apologize to feel safe. I used to do that so many times before. I would say sorry, use the word sorry and thank you excessively. I still say thank you excessively because I'm just grateful. It comes from gratefulness and a sense of abundance. But the sorry part, I've gotten better in not saying sorry about everything, even if it's not appropriate to say sorry. For example, you should be saying excuse me when you're going in between two people, for example, that you have to, or you have to pass by someone, excuse me, but I say sorry. That doesn't make sense. Also, with everything that I do, I just say sorry, and I realize, why am I saying sorry? So now one thing that I teach people or I share to people in my mentorship or my accountability support programs is that instead of saying sorry, try to say thank you. For example, if you're late to a meeting, but I know you really tried to get there, say, thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for patiently waiting for me. That message you just shared becomes more about the person who is there and giving them thanks for having the patience, as opposed to, oh, I'm sorry, I'm late, that it's all about you again. Thank the person so that it becomes the other person and not about you. Now that you know the four different responses of our nervous system, our emotions to feeling danger and unsafe, ask yourself which one of these four are your dominant response. Why is that important? Because learning your dominant response is key to understanding how you can emotionally regulate properly. Also, it's your nervous system's way of trying to protect you. The reason you're responding this way is because our body, our nervous system is trying to protect us, and this is how it feels it should protect us. Knowing that that's your dominant response, then you can figure out what new ways or new tools you can use instead for yourself to keep yourself feeling safe and protected. And we'll talk about that more as to what those other tools are. But now might be a good time to pause this video and ask yourself, which of these four do I tend to do when I feel very emotionally dysregulated? If I can't manage my emotions, or if my RSD is flaring up, which one do I tend to do? And it doesn't have to be just one. It could be one or two. For example, for me, I used to do all of this flight, freeze, and fawn, and sometimes fight depending on the situation. But I know I did a lot of fawning before, and then I switched up to a lot of freezing, and then a lot of flight. So it just depends on the season of my life. But what is the dominant response for you now? So go ahead and pause the video if you want, or you can just keep going.